How you doing? I'm John Paul with Critical Paintball, and we're going to show you how to install the die and T trigger. This trigger will also fit the DM11, so any of the guns moving forward, they're going to use this frame and use this trigger. So we're going to go ahead and get to it right now. Okay, so what we're going to do here is show you how to put this in the gun. This one I've already had installed in the gun. So when you first open up your packaging, you're going to notice you have the trigger, this red plate, and a magnet. The magnet's usually affixed to the other magnet here. So what you want to do is take that off. Make sure you've got the polarity correct where it's going to actually repel the magnet that's on the trigger. So what we've already done is we put that in here. Easy way to do that is get on the end of an Allen key, put a small, just one drop of super glue on it. This is where your spring would normally go, right in here. So obviously remove that, put the magnet into the pocket, let it sit until this glue sets up, and then now it's affixed in there. And if you ever want to go back for any reason, you can just break that right out. It's not a permanent change there. And then one other thing that's different than the stock trigger is you'll have this little plastic piece here that holds the eye wires in place. What we do is we provide you with a red plate. It goes right there, and this does two things. It does the standard job of holding the eye wires in place, but it also becomes a stop for the trigger. So it's solid stop. So when you have your screw in here, touches there instead of touching your eye wires or just floating in space. So that's key as far as setting it up. Just go ahead and install that. Real easy to do. Then you drop your trigger in place. Slide the pin in. Tighten it up. And what you also want to check for here at this point is you want to tighten it up to the point where the trigger itself is free floating, it's not binding, it's not rubbing on any of the sides. The trigger itself can be moved slightly back and forth on the bearing so that you can center it. So every frame might be a little bit different, so this particular one's fine, there's not an issue, but let me show you what you can actually do is move these bearings to the left or right, just slightly, if need be. If, for example, you find that it's rubbing on one side or the other, you can just move the trigger over slightly. You want to get it to the point where the trigger is riding on the bearings and the bearings only. And that's where you're going to have your best feel and best performance. So we'll tighten that up there. And one of the other things here, there's a lever on this trigger. The way you adjust that lever is through the top here. So by screwing in, what you're doing is you're pushing this lever and you're changing the actuation point. It's going to actually push on that switch. So I don't know if we can see this here, but I'll hold it and then I'll screw this in. And you'll see it. We'll start to move the lever out. So that's a unique function of this trigger. So you've got the magnetic return, you've got this lever system, and what you can do is you can go completely traditional style with the bottom set screw here. That's going to be your rear stop against the frame, and the top set screw here, which is going to be your front stop against the red plate that we showed you earlier. Or you can go ahead and just use the stock setup that die provided, which are these cones. What I like to do is kind of a combination of the two. So I've got this cone set here to be the rear stop, so I find out where I want to get it to stop here, make that adjustment, and then I use this as the forward stop. The one that's here is going to hit here. So, you know, obviously play with the trigger and get it to your liking. So there you have it. You can get this at criticalpaintball.com. If you have any questions, go ahead and email us, sales@criticalpaintball.com. Thanks a lot.